So today we're going to be talking about geometric series. Geometric series. Sequences, actually. Series are something different. Geometric sequences is what we'll be talking about. And essentially, a geometric sequence is a sequence that grows by some factor, some multiplication factor. So I'm looking for what I multiply by to get the next term. So geometric sequences deal primarily with multiplication. Well, what am I multiplying 1 over 16 by to get 1/4? Well, I'm multiplying by 4. 4 over 16 is the same thing as 1/4. If I multiply 1/4 by 4, I get 4 over 4, which is 1. If I multiply 1 by 4, I end up with 4. So I can create this equation by simply saying I have my first term times my fraction that my multiplication term raised to the n minus 1 power. And n is the number of terms. So my first term then would be 1/16 times 4 to the 1 minus 1. So this is 1/16 to the 4 to the 0 power, which is 1/16 times 1, which is 1/16. Is that my first term? Yes, it is. Excellent. Then my second term, 1/16 to the 4 to the 2 minus 1 power, which is 1/16 to the 4 to the 1 power, which is 1/16 times 4, which is 4 over 16, which is 1/4. Did that work? Yes, it did. For my next term, I have 1/16 times 4 to the 3 minus 1 power, and that is 1/16 times 4 squared, which is 1/16 times 16, which is 16 over 16, which is 1, which is my next term. Now I'm done checking these three terms, and I can move on to actually solving. So here I have checked. I checked that my formula works well. This particular formula right up here works correctly. Now I can go ahead and solve. So let's say that it wants me to find. So we'll go ahead and say, find, this is the actual question, find the sixth term. So it wants to know what the sixth term of this sequence is. Well, here's number 1, here's number 2, here's number 3. We already figured out that the fourth term will be 4. If I just continue to multiply by 4, I can get to the 16th. So 4 times 4 is 16. So that's my fifth term. 16 times 4 is 64. That's my sixth term. Let's go ahead and use our method down here to check and see if we can find the sixth term using our formula. Using this formula right here. So I have 1/16 times 4 to the 6 minus 1, which is 1/16 to the 4 times 4 to the 5th, which is 1/16 times 4 to the 5th. Let's do that really quickly. 4 to the 5th power. It's 1024. So I can go ahead and say this is going to be 1/16 times 1024, which is 1024 divided by 16. So 1024 divided by 16, which is 64. Is 64 what we thought we would get? Yes, it is. Bada boom. So this is the answer that I will type into Schoology when it asks me to find some term, some number of term. Okay, let's go ahead and do another one. I think I've taken up enough space that I won't have space for the next one. Let's go ahead and see. There's my next one right there. Okay. All right, so here's our next one, negative 81 minus 27 minus 9 minus 3. So we begin to think, what am I multiplying by to get the next number? Well, 81 divided by 3 is 27, and 27 divided by 3 is 9, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. So I'm dividing by 3 each time, which means I'm multiplying. I'm actually multiplying here by 1/3. That's what helps me actually get down by 3 each time. So this is the same as division, multiplying by a fraction. So here we go. We can go through checking everything, right? 81 divided by 3, or let's make our formula. Negative 81 times 1/3 to the n minus 1 power. All right. Well, when this is 1, it's 0, and I'm just left with negative 81. When this is 2, then I have 81 times 1/3, which is the same thing as negative 81 over 3, which is the same thing as negative 27. That one works out. I can keep going, I can check all these, but let's do something more fun. Now that we have our particular equation, which is right here, this is the equation that we'll need, negative 81 times 1/3 to the n minus 1 power. Let's go ahead and say, find the 10th term. All right, well, we'll just say that's the same thing as negative 81 times 1/3 to the 10 minus 1, which is the same thing as negative 81 times 1/3 to the 9th power, which is the same thing as negative 81 times, let's do 1/3 to the 9th power on our calculator. So clear entry, 1/3 to the 9th power. Very interesting. Let's do that another way. Rather than getting that ugly decimal, let's just go ahead and say this is 1 to the 9th over 3 to the 9th. So let's go ahead and say clear entry 3 to the 9th. Okay, 1968/3. So this is 1 over 1968/3. Okay? And then we can go ahead and simplify these, right? 19,683, let's see if that divides by 81. It does, that's 243, so we end up with 1 over 243, and this is negative. So our 10th term will be negative 1 over 243. Let's see if I have another example here. There it is, perfect, right where I wanted it, below my other work. Okay, what's happening here? I go from 6 to 3 to 3/2. Well, in all the previous examples, I've gone ahead and I've just said, oh, it looks like we're doing this, but let's go ahead and figure this out using some algebra. So I'm moving from negative 6, I'm multiplying by something, we'll call that x, and I'm getting negative 3. So what am I multiplying by? Well, let's just solve this equation. When I divide by negative 6, this becomes 1, which is an identity, and I have x equals, the two negatives cancel into the two negatives become a positive, and I end up with 3 over 6, which can reduce to 1/2. Am I multiplying by 1/2? Let's check. What's 1/2 of 6? 3. What's 1/2 of 3? 3/2. So 1/2 is what I'm using. So let's go ahead and just say this formula is negative 6 times 1/2 to the n minus 1 power. Let's check a couple of these. So negative 6 times 1/2 to the 1 minus 1 is negative 6 times 1/2 to the 0, which is negative 6 times 1, which is negative 6. Good, first term works out. Negative 6 times 1/2 to the 2 minus 1, which is negative 6 times 1/2 to the 1, which is negative 6 times 1/2, which is negative 6 over 2, which is negative 3. That one checked out. Last one, negative 6 times 1/2 to the 3 minus 1, which is negative 6 times 1/2, squared, which is negative 6 times 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, which is negative 6 over 4, which can reduce to negative 3 over 2, and it works. Excellent. So let's go ahead here and let's find the fifth term. I'm going to find the fifth term by using this particular formula here. So I've got negative 6 times 1/2 to the 5 minus 1, which is negative 6 times 1/2 to the 4, which is negative 6 times, well, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So again, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So that's 16. So this will equal, let's go ahead and just bring it down over here. This will equal negative 6 over 16, which can then be reduced to negative 3 over 8. So negative 3/8 is our fifth term. If we want to check it, we could check it by multiplying by 1/2 up here. So 3/2 times 1/2 is the same thing as 3/4, and that's our fourth term. 3/4 times 1/2 is the same thing as 3/8, and that's our fifth term. So yes, this is our fifth, this is our fourth, this is our third, this is our second, this is our first. Good luck. Again, the key is getting this particular formula for each of the terms.